Today we're going to talk about Tim Ferriss podcast with Jerry Seinfeld. You can listen to the podcast on any platform used for podcasts. This is the summary of their conversation with most important lessons that I took from it. This is not Jerry. It's in a voice that sounds just like Jerry. It might sound weird and look like I'm talking about myself in third person, but as I say, this is just Jerry's artificial intelligence-generated voice. So let's start. I was surprised that Jerry is so awakened in the sense that he is thinking about how he can be better and more effective even though when he's so successful. I like that the most important things in his life are cardio training, strength training, and transcendental meditation. That's something we have in common. He says that with these three things, he will help any man no matter where he lives or what he does. He also talked about how he scrutinized every line in the script of the Seinfeld series. He thinks that's why the show is so successful. He finished the series on his own when he wanted before being canceled. He jokes that number 9 is better than number 10 when it comes to season numbers. 10 seems too much to him. He wanted to have the audience get the series as a gift back in the 90s. He says that for him, marriage and children are a great source of inspiration for comedy. He fights his depressive episodes with exercise and meditation. He thinks that the depression is not a source of inspiration for comedians. That inspiration comes more from irritation and a good perception of everyday situations. He tries to teach his daughters that systematization is an important part of the job. He gave a great example that I will probably always remember, and that is that when you do something, it has to have a time frame, otherwise it just seems like the activity does not have an end. Then you have to say to yourself or set an alarm clock that you'll be working only on that for the next hour. Let's say you go to the gym with a private coach and you ask how long this is going to take, and the coach answers that as an open-ended, which means it can be 5 minutes or 5 hours. It is very unlikely that you would proceed with that activity. It is also important that when you do the job as planned that you go and reward yourself for doing it right. The writing lesson he gives is that you accept mediocrity and that it is important to invest hours in it. But the standard advice that almost everyone gives is to start small with 10 minutes of writing and so on. Don't start with 2 hours of activity right away. Jerry says the only thing he wouldn't give up from his past as lessons or failures. The best lessons are learned from failure. Mitzi Shore, the owner of the comedy store that Joe Rogan often mentions on his podcast, turned Jerry down to do his comedy act in her club. That rejection made him want to succeed even more. So instead of 3 days a week as he used to, Jerry wrote all 7 days a week. After Seinfeld's series was a success, he would drive by her on the street every day on his way to the studio. If he had a billboard to address everyone with the most important message, it would be, just work. That's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Tim Ferriss for doing this amazing podcast.